This guy is disappointed that he won't be able to potentially put these 14 human beings in cages because they're going to be found justified as acts of self-defense. We are the Arms Attorneys. Today we're talking about a widely shared video of some law enforcement and some government officials talking about self-defense. We're going to talk about what video and what happened. Are our gun laws really working? And why does the anti-gun crowd have such perverse logic when it comes to firearms and self-defense? But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And we're going to break this video into a couple of little chunks. This is out of Indianapolis, and we kind of see some bizarre language around people saving their own lives. Let's run the first clip.
Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears said in January there were 18 homicides. He says 14 were investigated for self-defense.
So 14 out of the 18 incidents, it sounds like the law's working.
It sounds like the laws are working. Anytime you have that many self-defense incidences, hopefully the message will get around that people have guns, they will defend themselves. The one thing that the reporter said that really kind of ticks me off, though, is this continual use of any time a firearm is involved in any instance, they immediately refer to it as an incident of gun violence.
Edwin's fist clench up when he heard that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
like it's not being wielded by a criminal.
Yes,
Yeah.
every time it's always gun violence, which, not to get off topic, but we had a major story here in Houston, which there was a shooting at a gas station, which was clearly a cartel hit, in my opinion.
If y'all haven't seen that, it's crazy.
And of course, the reporter then does a follow-up story where he goes out and interviews people about this. And the question is, what do you think about cartel hits in Houston? No, the issue is, does this mean there's still too much gun violence in Houston?
But it's not just the reporter. Let's check out what the prosecutor has to say.
Yes.
So we're just seeing a significant increase in the number of self-defense cases because we're seeing too many situations where both parties are armed, where multiple parties are firing their weapons during these very simple disputes.
Emily Taylor, simple dispute.
Whew. Okay, here's what I'll say too. We have 18 murders, right? 14 of those are potentially the bad guy dying.
Yeah.
And somehow the law enforcement in Indianapolis is like, this is a bad thing. It's a bad thing that it's the bad guy dead instead of the good guy dead.
Yeah.
I do not understand.
But we hear from one other guy here about their gun safety laws.
Our gun safety laws really don't have much of an effect. Everybody's got a gun, and we got to get the guns out of the hands of the people who have absolutely no business owning them or possessing them.
To me, it sounds like the laws are working.
I mean, here's what's upsetting to me is that this evidences that prosecutors, and this is not true of simply this prosecutor, prosecutors all over the country, this guy is disappointed that he won't be able to potentially put these 14 human beings in cages because they're going to be found justified as acts of self-defense. So that says to me, he's not looking for, oh, I want to do justice. He's looking for convictions. And that's the problem with self-defense laws all over the country in the way that they're enforced.
Yeah, and the making it sound like, all right, let's say, I mean, some of these have to be justified shootings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just statistically, it's impossible. But he makes it sound like the families of perpetrators are getting robbed by folks saving their own lives. And we have numbers from the Centers for Disease Control, and these studies were done under the Obama administration. I mean, it's 500,000 to 3 million defensive gun uses every single year. It's a huge range, but we know the number is somewhere in between there. So I just don't see the issue.
Well, and this belief that this politician has that somehow the self-defense laws and the gun safety laws are incongruous or somehow in conflict with one another. That's really kind of a ridiculous supposition.
Right, because my ability to use self-defense hypothetically makes the entire city safer because people are going to be far less likely to attack me if they think they're going to get shot for it. So, I mean, ultimately, I think this is the takeaway because people ask all the time. They're like, well, this guy used self-defense. Why is he being prosecuted? Or they say, Why do I need to think about a lawyer? Why do I need to, have a game plan for if I have to use self-defense? The law is on my side. And while the statute and the black letter of the law might be on your side, you know who's sitting behind that statute and behind the enforcement? Bald guy in the blue shirt.
Yeah, a
I already
bunch of human
forgot his name
beings.
already.
Yeah.
But yeah, human beings who are like, well, I don't want to follow this law. I don't want to let this guy go because it was self-defense. I got to protect the family of the bad guy, right? I mean, whatever the reasoning behind it is,
Yeah,
even if it's perverse.
That's been my experience. I mean, government people get in trouble when they make tough decisions. Self-defense cases, that is a picture perfect tough decision. Someone's going to have to make a tough decision. And then all these prosecutors who want to kick the can, not be held personally responsible for having to make a decision in the case, wanting to kick it to a jury. I mean, it has huge negative impacts on self-defenders.
Well, and the idea that these people that people are inherently, whenever they carry a gun, that somehow inherently makes them, it turns them into a violent person or somebody who has a violent disposition, that is basically out there looking to go involve themselves in a situation where they will use a gun.
But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please question, comment for us below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.